Good morning. I'm the tutor for human rights in policing. The scope. We will deal with tutor introduction, aims of the content class, the structure of the examination, continuous assessment and calculation of the marks, examination preparations and tips, the course outline, and then conclude. Now, why do we have the classes? It is to prepare the students for examinations due in 2019. Best possible change to do well. We want to make sure that you are going to attain what you have intended to attain, discuss examination structure, explain the continuous assessment and calculation of the marks, and give you basic tips. My name is George Pagup. I have a BTech degree in forensic investigation and am currently studying towards honors in the policing. My relevant experience is that I have been a police officer from between 1993 and 2013. I have about 21 years of policing experience, within 20 years in the investigative field. I have held various portfolios during the tenure in the police, as an investigator, as a unit commander, and staff officer to the Regional Crime Investigation Coordinator. Now, my current position is a Senior Financial Intelligence Analyst with the FIC at Bank of Namibia. Structure of the examination. You may expect 4 main questions with sub-questions during the examination. You may be required to answer one of 2 questions. In example, choose question 4.1 or 4.2. Total points are 120 and converted to 100. Questions are from the study guide provided by Iol. You may be expected to discuss, outline, define, list, analyze, and name. Question marks allocated are ranging between 1 to 30 marks in the questions and sub-questions. Why the continuous assessment and calculation marks? We want to ensure that students take the examination seriously and align their studies accordingly. The duration of the examination for 20 credits, like in this instance, is 2.5 hours, 2 hours 30 minutes, a written exam of 120 marks. Now, continuous assessment is calculated at a final pass mark of 50% is required, calculated by 60% of examination and 40% of the continuous assessment mark. A sub-minimum of 50% must be attained in the examination, so you need to get at least 50% in the exam before others are considered. Suppose your assignment continues as an assessment mark of 50, examination mark of 50. It will be calculated as 40% of 50 equals 20, which is calculated at 50 times 40 divided by 100. 60% of 50, which is 30, also calculated as such, 50 times 60 divided by 100, of which the final mark indicates as 50. All the setting and marking of examination papers are moderated. Now, examination preparations and the tips. Write clearly and legibly. Structure your answers through headings and numbers and in logical sequence. And make sure that your student number and all details requested are written on the answer sheet. Write in blue or black ink. Cheating in the examination will result in a failing grade. Please make sure that you do not cheat in the exam. You should also refrain or avoid dumping irrelevant and irrelevant facts at the same time, as you may lose valuable points. No unauthorized materials, notes, technical devices may be taken into the exam venue. Should you be responsible for any irregularities during the writing of the exams, the head or the person in charge of the examination will collect your answering script and evidence. Evidence may be something like a script that you have or paper that you have been using to write from. You will be requested to explain, to give an explanation in writing. The answering script, evidence, and declaration will be submitted to the Irregularity Committee for verification. No examination mark will be given to you for that particular subject. You'll be suspended from the studies of that subject at Iol for 12 months, or 2 consecutive examination sessions. It is an infringement of the examination regulations to assist or try to help any other person. Please refrain to do so. No cell phones should be taken into the venues. They must be switched off. You may not leave the examination venue 30 minutes after the exam has started or 15 minutes before it finishes. A late arrival of 30 minutes after the start of the examination will result in a no turn up recorded, and you will not be allowed to write the exam. You are reminded that the question paper remains the property of IOL. As such, you may not remove it. Should you need any additional writing paper, please request for it. Rough work may only be done on the question paper or the paper provided by the invigilator or the person in charge. You must sign the checklist. Smoking and eating in the exam venue is prohibited. Do not dive into writing your exam without going through or reading through your question paper. For questions with 20 marks, write at least 1.5 pages and more. Not half a page for 20 marks. Students fail to score good marks in examination due to this practice. Now, the course outline, the scope. Extra Learning 1, number 1, Human Rights and International Law. What are human rights? You should know what are human rights, the description thereof, examples of human rights, an example, right to life, nationality, education, health, etc. Who makes international human rights? Monitoring of human rights. What are the international human rights? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, various human rights conventions Namibia ratified to, the UN Code of Conduct for Law Enforcement Officials, human rights versus law and order in Namibia. How can respect for human rights assist the police? Differentiate different human rights violations police should be concerned of. Example, genocide, torture, etc. Number 2, human rights policing and the Namibian Constitution. Human rights and policing. How can the Namibian Police Force help with human rights? Here we refer to institutions in the police like Internal Investigations Directorate, protection of and respect for human rights in police, the role of training in human rights protection, Namibian Police Force contribution towards human rights, and training, in example, ethics of professional conduct, the importance of the Namibian Constitution, the repeal and amendment of the Namibian Constitution, human rights in the Namibian Constitution, an example, the Ombudsman is discussed. You should know the Legal Assistance Center as well. Number 3, policing and administration of justice. What is the purpose of policing? The principles of policing. The history of policing in Namibia prior to independence. In example, the German era, the South African era, the establishment of the Namibian Police Force. In example, what are the functions? The administration of justice, referring to judiciary, court removal of judges, judicial commission, etc. Number 4, generations of fundamental human rights. What are fundamental human rights? You should know what are generations of human rights as part of the classification of rights, which refers to social and civil, the development towards an international bill of rights, fundamental human rights in Namibia. Number 5, cultural diversity, human rights and universal of human rights. What is cultural diversity? You should know the difference or what it entails. What is the universality of human rights? Cultural diversity opposed to human rights, universal and cultural relativism, the common and standard conflicting with different cultures. In conclusion, 1 fact, 1 mark. Please, if you give me 1 mark, you can only expect one. If you give me 1 fact, you can only expect 1 mark to be given. Framework of exam investigation requires that you know and understand all concepts and techniques. Name your number your facts or use bullets. Avoid dumping relevant and irrelevant facts at the same time. Start your examination preparations early by making relevant notes to study. Follow the instructions closely. Use your best handwriting. Short questions may be included. And best of luck with your examination preparations. Thank you.